everyone, and welcome back to Sew What If I Sew, or welcome if you're new. My name's Jess and this is my channel all about sewing, dressmaking and all things stitch related. And today you join me for a slightly more traditional sew along in the tradition of this channel, which will be the Ilford jacket from Friday Pattern Company, which if you've not seen it, looks like this. It is a unisex pattern. It can be made long, there we go, or short like this. I'm going to be making the short version, and it can be made in a variety of fabrics. I've always fancied an Ilford jacket because I think, I don't know, I like a big sort of a boxy cozy jacket on top of like skinny jeans and quite fitted clothes. That's kind of how I work, but it's something that I've kind of never had the confidence to do or had a fabric I wanted to make in. However, at the knitting and stitching show that changed. So let me show you the fabric I'm going to be using. I'm very, very excited about this. Oh, it's covered in my hair. I'm molting at the moment. Here it is. It's big, thick wool. Oh, it's so cozy. I'll hold it up. It's like navy. It looks a bit black in the camera, but it is navy. With a nice big red tartan through it. Things I'm concerned about with this fabric, it's really thick. So I think I'll need a heavier gauge needle on the machine. And I'm worried about pattern matching and keeping the lines straight because traditionally I'm not very good at that, so this might be interesting. Very nervous, but it'll be fine. We'll get there, we'll take it really slowly, we'll make sure that the back and the front are really neatly done. I'll really take my time cutting those, but I'm so excited. I'm going to be using these awesome buttons from Pigeon Wishes. I've got two sets of these, one I'm using for my blazer and one I'm using for this. I don't know if you can see, they're like the nice, I think they're the chai latte ones, I think maybe, but they're beautiful and I think they go really, really well with this and they're going to look great. So when I asked on Instagram how long this takes, most people said if you're not lining it, they made it up in a couple of hours. So, because originally I was like, oh god, is that too long for, you know, is it going to take me ages? Is it going to not be an achievable weekend project? But I am buoyed with the confidence of others, so we'll have a go, we'll see what happens. I've not pre-washed this fabric on the premise that I probably won't, you don't really need to wash wool if it's going to be a coat and you're not actually, it's like not going to be washed regularly in that way, so I think it'll be fine. And wool is naturally antibacterial as well, fun fact. So, or at least that could be a factoid actually. As far as I'm aware that's true, but disprove me if you know for a fact that's wrong. I'm not precious about these things. So I'm excited, it's going to be really cozy. So what do we need to do? What is our first step? So I have the pattern. Let's talk about sizing. I've got the pattern. Now from my Davenport dress, I have sort of found out that cannot speak today, what's wrong with me? Friday Pattern Company put a lot of ease in their garments, and the finished garment measurements, seriously, if you're going to check them with anybody, the two pattern designers so far in my life that I really recommend checking finished garment measurements are Tilly and the Buttons and Friday Pattern Company. I love their patterns. I love Friday Pattern Company patterns, but I am going to be making 2 sizes smaller. So in this, for example, I technically fit into the medium size bracket, which is a 36-inch bust, a 28-inch waist. I mean, I'd probably go down the size of the waist, and then 37-inch hips. So that's pretty much me. The medium finished garment measurements for this, hold on, are, they're like 10 inches bigger. Yeah, the medium finished garment measurements are 48 on the chest, and then it's a straight cut, so it's 48 the whole way down. That will drown me. That is way too big for me. So what I'm actually going to do is make the extra small, which is a 44 finished garment measurements, even though the size chart says a 32 to 33 inch bust, 24-inch waist, etc. It's realistically, the extra small is going to be right for me. I think as well, I'm a petite woman, I am small, and in terms of sleeve length, body length, I just think the extra small is going to work a lot better for me. So, you know, there is a lot of ease in this pattern, but I think we'll be okay. Now, every part of my brain, because it's a weekend and I just want to start sewing, wants to cut this pattern out. But I'm going to be good, or as good as I can be, and I'm going to try and trace it. I hate tracing patterns, I really, really hate it, but I will do it. I'm a bit nervous because I'll be tracing actual pattern paper and I'm worried about how it's going to stand up to being traced over. But I think realistically, because I'm making the extra small, I don't want to then lose all of the other possible size options. You know, yeah, good, okay, I will trace it, I will behave, I will be good, I will trace it, even though I really don't want to. Yeah, normally I just cut in because I don't care, but yeah, I think the only time I don't is if I'm using the very smallest size, because if I do get it wrong, I've then lost the pattern, and that was quite an expensive pattern, so I'll trace it, it'll be fine. But I will share this with you guys. My mannequin will be used a lot. There are a few features in this I'm quite nervous about, which is basically the cuffs. So I've done everything else on here before. I've done sleeve plackets for my dad's shirt. I have done collars and cuffs before. My collars always end up a little small, so I'm going to really pay attention and make sure I do that carefully. And I'm very nervous about the buttonholes. However, I haven't done any buttonholes on my brand new Singer machine yet, which is a lot heavier duty than my other one. So I'm hoping they'll just do it and I won't have to think about it. But I will do a couple of practices to make sure I'm fully comfortable with how that works. Are there any other techniques in here I'm nervous about? I mean, I'm assuming, I'm really not reading this in depth, but yeah, so I'll need to interface everything, so I'll make sure I must have some interfacing this way, I must do. But yeah, I think the pockets apparently take some time. The placket, I've done one before. My last placket wasn't the neatest in the world, but I have at least done it. So I do know the theory, I know the practice, and we'll sort of see how that goes. I really like, by the way, in the instructions, they've done the placket instructions with a contrast fabric, so you can actually see what's going on, which is so useful. Other pattern companies, please take note. But apparently the fiddly bits with this are the plackets and the pockets, and then everything else is very, very quick. So fingers crossed, that is my experience. I think we'll probably be okay. And then I'm going to run some of this wool through my overlocker as well, so I can finish off the edges, because let's find an edge, which is the edge that's fraying quite badly. There it is. As you can see, it is fraying. So like, you know, it does need to be finished at the edges. I would say as well, with this fabric, unlike others I've used, it's got a really clear right side, which is this lovely soft fluffy side, and then a really clear wrong side, which hopefully you can see is very textured and quite rough. So very excited to work with this. I think it'll be quite easy, but I'm very, very nervous. So I'm going to do some reading about how I can really ensure my pattern matching is perfect. And then, or not perfect, but just not off. For my dad's, the lines are off by about that, which is really annoying. So I'm going to be very careful and very deliberate with how I do this. And yeah, fingers crossed we'll do well. So let's get going, let's trace out our pattern and let's do some cutting. Right, so I've put a jumper on because it's really cold, but I have just cut out, I have cut out the pattern, I have. However, what I've done to be really, really careful is I have been like so careful with all the other sizes, and what I'm going to do is tape them back together so that if I need another size I can just put mine back in, like my pattern piece back in the nice pattern shaped hole that will be there, masking tape it in and then cut out a bigger size if I need to, because I just couldn't face tracing it, and sewing is a hobby and something I like doing, so I'm not going to force myself to do something I don't want to do realistically. So one thing I would say about this first of all is that you have the most number of possible pockets I've ever seen on a garment before. So if you are making this, look at the pattern pieces you have and pick what pockets you want to make, because you've got big angled pockets, little angled pockets, big rectangular pockets, little angled pockets. little rectangular pockets. You've got pocket flaps if you want them, or if you don't want them. You've also got hand warmer style pockets, which are these ones. So they'd sit like that, so you put your hand in. Yeah, so there are literally thousands of pockets. I have decided to go with rectangular pockets because I actually prefer them to angled pockets when you're working with bulky fabrics. I think they look nicer. And also they're just, I want it to be practical and I can fit more in a rectangular pocket. So I have my pockets. I'm not going to do flaps for my pockets, I'm not bothered. There is a cute little pencil pocket that goes on top of a pocket, and I thought that would be a nice design feature, so we're going to use that one as well. And then otherwise, there are two different types of sleeves. So there's a boxy sleeve and there's a placket sleeve. I'm going to be using the placket sleeve. So here we are. Lovely. And then I am going to be doing, is there any other design choices? No, I think that's it actually. So for me, big and small rectangular pockets, these two. So I'm going to do 2 big pockets and 1 small pocket. And then yeah, we're good to go actually. So I'm a little nervous. I'm very curious as to how this sleeve goes in. I've never seen a sleeve that looks like this before. So yeah, this is fascinating. I can't see how it works. I mean, I assume when I cut out, like these must be designed to fit this, like they must, because there's no arm side at all on the pattern piece. So I'm guessing that's what makes it boxy. It must be, but I'm so intrigued. This is fascinating. So let's get going. I'm going to go and grab another cup of tea, and then very, very carefully, probably going to get Adam to help me, lay out my wool on the floor in the living room. And I think, even though I hate doing it like this because it takes so much time, I am going to lay it out as one layer so that I can pattern match correctly. Now, what I didn't think about was that I'm also going to have to pattern match the pockets, which I really don't want to do. But then, does it look okay if they're not pattern matched? I think it's probably fine. Oh, I don't know. Is it going to annoy me? We'll think about it. We'll see what a pain it is to do, and we'll go from there. So we've cut out everything, and now I'm going to have a mass interfacing session. I'm really hoping I got the pattern matching right. I don't think I did, but fingers crossed it's correct. I think I've done something strange to the very centre front now I think about it, but we'll find out. God, that's a bad attitude, but it's the one I've got. So yeah, I'm going to interface everything now, and then I think our first step is the pockets, so we'll get all them done. And then I think it's on to sleeve plackets straight away, which I quite like, because it's like the 2 annoying fiddly things done, and then you just assemble a jacket, which is quite easy. So fingers crossed, it'll be a nice quick make. So we're going to try a bit of top-down camera work so I can show you plackets. Now, plackets are a bit of a mystery to me when I first tried to do them. So I'm going to provide, or attempt to provide, a little how-to or a tutorial here. Now, I'm going to caveat this by saying this fabric is fantastic but incredibly thick and not ideal for plackets, really. As you can see, this is a very, very chunky placket here. It's enormous. See if you can see, it's so thick. But it does look okay. I'm much happier with it, and I do vaguely know what I'm doing this time. So here is one I did earlier. Let's do the second side together. So first of all, we interface our placket piece like so. Then, now it's important we make sure we transfer some of the markings across. So I'm going to lay it over the top. We will do all the actual marking on the other side, but we'll make sure we do this bit here. Lovely. Okay. So then on the back, we need to mark this rectangle on to the piece. So I do this by doing a line right up the middle to the top with my little dressmaker's pencil. So that's my notch at the bottom. Make sure my lines are straight. There it is. There we go, lovely. And then we do one each side. So that's our line down the middle. I'm going to mark there and there. Sit them on there. Let's flip it and make sure that's straight. Lovely. And then I'm just going to flip this back to there. Draw a line across the way. Great. And then I'm just going to join up these. So one of the nice things about using a big dark wool and interfacing is I can just draw all over it. And then we need our little triangle at the top. Lovely. So step one, once we've drawn those on, is we're going to fold these edges in by, I think it's 1/4 inch or 0.6 centimeters, which is about that. Let's have a little look. I'm going to use my tape measure because it's impossible to see a dark coloured ruler. Although I do have a light ruler somewhere actually. Is it in the drawer? No I don't. We'll have a wee look. I'll do it with my tape measure. Where is my tape measure? There we go. So, yep, that's correct. So we're going to iron that. I'm going to pin it down. There we go. When I did my first placket, I quite heroically broke a needle, so I've left it on my magnet so I don't lose it. But look at that. Look how bent that is. That's because I'm trying to sew through a lot of layers of fabric, and it's difficult. It's tricky sewing through like 4 layers of wool. And the same on the other side. So we're going to fold both of these. The wool does fray quite easily, and I really struggled with the next step. So hopefully it goes better this time. So again, we're pulling that in. And that is just about, yep, that's correct. So out. So excuse me, just lightly stabbing myself. Right, there we go. So the end goal is we cut up here. This will get folded like so. This will get folded there. We'll have a gap in the middle. Well, it should be more like that. Gap in the middle there, and then it will overlap. Very, very messy, but roughly that. So let's press these down and then come back. So that's pressed down. Again, it has to be said, wool doesn't press especially well, but it is what it is, or wool this thick, I should say. So our next step is we're going to stitch, well actually no, we're going to fold this across to here, so right sides together. And we'll pin that. There we go. And the same, so lots of pins are your friend with plackets. And then we're going to stitch this top corner like so. So let's do that. It says at 1/4 inch. I did it a little more last time. I'll just leave you there for a second while I do this. So we're just going to sew, I'll show you what I do. We're just going to sew this top corner. There we go, very lovely.
And then we're going to snip the top off, snip any excess bulk. That's just from my own experience with this fabric. When you're sewing with much lighter fabrics, you don't need to snip off the bulk. It'll just do it. And then let's push that through. And I'm going to use this so I don't accidentally poke through the end. I do have a point turner somewhere in this room, but it's such a mess at the moment that I don't know where it is. So that'll do. There we go. Right, and then take our pins away. And we're going to fold that in on itself. And voila. So our first bit done. So let's pin that down. So I would be pressing this a lot more, again, if I was using a creasable fabric. But with this, I'm doing the bare minimum because it really just doesn't press very well. And it ends up working with just kind of hot, damp wool, which isn't ideal. So there we go. Step, whichever that is, 2. Next thing we need to do is grab our sleeve, which is helpfully over here. No, it's not. That's the correct sleeve. Where's my sleeve? Here we go. So what we want to do is wrong side of the sleeve. This really confused me the first time. So wrong side of the sleeve, we have our 2 notches here. Right side of the placket goes down. And we match up our central notch and this little side notch here. Lovely. Now I was stupid earlier and cut the notches slightly wrong, so do ignore the there's one set of notches slightly too far this way. So I've lined it up with the centre. There we go. Again, lots and lots of pins. So there we go. Lovely. And then we'll just do one at the top as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stitch around this rectangle here to stitch the placket piece onto the garment. So then we end up with this, our stitched on rectangle, and what we're going to do is take a pair of scissors and we're going to snip all the way up the inside, making sure that we're only snipping through our sleeve. And we've not got anything accidentally folded underneath, because I did that on one make before and that was very upsetting. Okay. And then we snip into the corners, but we don't snip through the stitching. There you go. Lovely. So take our pins out now. And then the next step is we're going to turn it through to the right side. So this is the right side and through we go. It wants us to press that down. We're going to need to, having learnt from the other side, I'm just going to reduce some of this bulk. Again, this is not something it tells you to do in the instructions. It's just something I have now learned from doing this with wool on one side. So let's pull it through. And there we go. So if I fold that over the way it should be, you see we've got this nice open square here now. So we'll give it a press, which is lovely. And then what we will do is we'll start on this small side. So I'll go and press it in a wee second. But what we will do is, let's take our pins out. There's a lot of pins out, pins back in here. So as you'll see, we've kind of got half and half, right? So instead of folding this all the way over like that, we're going to fold it so this edge and this stitching are in line. So like folding it in half back on itself. And then we're going to stitch this. Now, I found because of the sheer bulk of this that I had to start halfway up and then like back stitch to the bottom, because the foot just wouldn't go over the amount of body, which I think is just the case with something this thick. I remember having exactly the same problem when I was making my VN coat. It's just when it's thick wool, really. That's you kind of get what you get. But there we go. So right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stitch this down. I'm actually going to move that pin to there, because it is going to be an absolute mission. The other recommendation I have is to use the whole foot and move your needle, because it gives you a lot more pressing power. There we go. Lovely. I'm edge stitching this down. Take my pin out. This wee knot button. The thing is as well, we've got cuffs going on to this, so I'm not as fussed about the bottom end of the placket looking alright. It doesn't really matter. So we're just going on to the other side now, and first of all we're going to stitch across the end of the triangle. So I've just managed to get this onto the machine. There we go. Small camera issue there, but hopefully all fixed now. Right. Fab. So that extra high presser foot lift is real coming in handy now. I am using just black thread for this because I figured it'd be fine. You probably can see it more on camera actually than you can in person. So I've just stitched across the top of my triangle there to hold it in place, and now we're going to stitch all the way around, and then we'll have a placket, and that's both done, and we can move on to the actual jacket itself. In some ways it's really nice to get the placket out of the way, because then I just don't have to think about it, which is the dream. So we really want to line those up over the stitching. So ideally, like from underneath, you should only have one row of stitching. The reality, I don't think that ever happens for anyone really. Let's put it all the way on. I'm going to move my needle all the way over to the other side. There we go, lovely. Right. Now let's get ourselves a nice placket. I broke a needle on this bit last time, so I'm a bit like, this is a nice new needle, please behave. It just bent it. There were so many layers of fabric that it genuinely bent the machine. Sorry, bent the needle. I'm hoping it's not damaged anything else. Something strange happening right now, but hopefully we can get to the end of this and then we can do that. Right, once more, pivot, turn. A lot of pivoting with plackets. I would say, like, they do kind of help to get you more comfortable with your machine, because they do ask you to sort of, yeah, I don't know, use more. There we go. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't put my presser foot down for that because it just wouldn't, it wasn't happy. So I bowed to the whims of my machine because I don't want to have to change the needle again. Right, needle back to the middle before I forget. And there we go, we have a placket. Fabulous. So, 2 plackets done. Let's give both of them a press and then see what our next steps are. Good morning everyone. So I have done the side seams and sleeves of my Ilford because they're just straight seams. There was nothing really to talk about. So I've done those, and now we need to assemble our collar. I'm aiming to finish it today. It is a week on from when I started because actually Monday to Friday this week I literally didn't do anything except work, master's work and sleep. Literally, like, I barely ate this week. It's really bad. But I have been like looking after myself as much as possible. So this weekend I'd like to finish my Ilford. I have a huge amount of master's work to do. And yeah, so we're gonna get there.
But yeah, let's assemble our collar. It's a weird collar, this one, because there's no collar stand, which seems strange, but you know, maybe it's a style, I don't know. So yeah, it's because it looks like a normal collar, but yeah, there's no little collar stand, so we'll see how that goes. So we'll assemble that, and then I don't know if we put our pockets on next. I really haven't read ahead in these instructions. Normally I do, but I haven't, so we'll find out together. The other thing I would say is I am really, really proud of my pattern matching. Like the what's it called, vertical lines, like it won't be, when it's finished, it won't be like an exact middle check, however they're completely parallel and the horizontal lines are completely into each other, so I'm really happy about that because that's never happened before, so it's really exciting. So yeah. Right, so we've done that. Now our next job actually is we go back. So we kind of assemble our collar and then we just leave it alone. And then we're going to go back to our jacket and we're going to, so those nice long interfaced edges, we're going to fold them both under 1/4 inch and then the same again, so to create a nice thick placket on each side. And then looking at the instructions, we're going to clip a little notch and then, oh yeah, so we're going to do one of those weird hems. You know where you end up with like a completely enclosed corner? I'll try and I'll do it on one side and then I'll show you guys top down because those always used to confuse me. And then we're going to, yeah, create like a sort of enclosed hem all the way around. It's a bit fiddly, but I'll have a go and then see if I can explain it a bit better after I've done it. Right, so I have used every pin in one of those pinwheels to pin this under by 1/4 inch. So we do both button plackets, I've put photos in, and we do the hem. And now the next step is to turn the hem up by 1 inch and crease it, but again this fabric really doesn't crease, and then unfold it, I think, or we unfold it later? Yes, we unfold it later. And then we'll turn this in on itself to create the plackets on each side. We'll stitch across there and then you kind of end up with something along like, or maybe it's like that. And that will end up with like a completely enclosed corner. I'm so bad at those enclosed corners. I've had to do them on a few patterns and I do them really badly. But that's like roughly what we're doing. So I think what I'm going to have to do, given the thickness of my fabric, as you can see, this will not stay where it is. Even if I press it, I just know it won't. So what I might do is, with a really long stitch length, basically just baste all of these down so that I can actually work with it and get my pins back, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult. So I think I'll baste 1/4 inch down. I've looked through, you don't take it out at any point. So I'll baste this down all the way around, everywhere. That's going to take a while, but why not? And then we'll fold this up 1 inch, and then I'll have my pins back to actually do that. And then we create our button placket. Right, so we have now pinned our button placket back, so over to the right side rather than the wrong side. So we folded it back on itself. And then what we're going to do is I've unfolded part of my folded under hem, I don't know if you can see that. So I've got this nice crease here. I did manage to get to crease in the end. Woo! A lot of ironing. So what, goodness, a bit shaky handed today. What we're going to do is stitch across this line here, this nice crease, and then basically we'll fold this back on itself, and that should create a nice enclosed corner. Here we go, I've stitched across this corner. It's one of those processes, doing corners like this, that you just sort of have to follow the instructions and not think about too much. That's something I'm not great at, because generally I like to know why I'm doing something, and there are various things in life that has made me quite bad at, because I struggle with just do it. I'm like, but why? What's the end goal? But here we go. I couldn't really imagine this, but we've stitched across there. So what we've actually got is we've sort of undone the hem just at the end. This is through to the right side, so then we're going to turn it through, and I've got my turner somewhere in the mess of my desk. And there we go. See, there we go. See, so we end up with, if I unpin my button placket just at the bottom, you see we end up with a nice enclosed corner, and what we're going to do is flip it over at the top. I think there's a notch we've got to cut here. Flip it over and then we'll stitch it down, and we'll have enclosed hems and both buttonhole and button plackets done. So let's do that, and then I think we put the collar on, and then I think we attach the pockets. So we're so nearly there actually. This is quite a big step. So we'll get this done, and then yeah, we're pretty much there. So here we are, a little progress update for you guys. So our plackets are in, and so is our hem, and the overlap is actually not that bad. Right, let's have a look. Considering pattern matching is not my forte in any way, shape, or quite possibly form, I've done something strange on this side. I've no idea what, because it's completely even on the inside. But hey, what can you do? That's fine. So, to be honest, yeah, I'm happy with it. Nothing is desperately squint. No one will notice. But what we're going to do first, actually, is attach our collar. I read ahead in the instructions, but I missed a step. So we're going to attach our collar first and then do our cuffs. So, where are we? Here is my lovely collar. One side is, it's really hard to crease, but it should be turned under like that. Stitched together, and then it's going to go, so I've understitched it. There we go. So it'll go on this way around. Again, it doesn't look like it fits. I really do feel like there should be a collar stand of some kind, but I can't find one, so I'm assuming we finished this top edge in some way. Taken a sizable break from this project because I went into install season at work, and then basically was in the office every day throughout November and most of December. Doing as well, when I was in a lot of nights I was working very late, and I also had a large number of very important MA assignments. All in all, life has somewhat conspired to not let me sew. However, I am persevering, and I am going to Tate Modern tomorrow, hopefully when you'll see this, to see an exhibition I booked myself into back in September as something to look forward to. Now, I love my job, so it's not like I've been dreading everything I've been going through. That's been fabulous. But I booked something that was just for me a while ago, and so I'm gonna be safe. I've tested before I'm going, and I'll be wearing a mask the whole time. I'm actually going on my own, so I won't be like with anyone in that sense. I'm going quite early on a Sunday morning, so I'm hoping that it'll be fairly quiet. So I'll also just drop into my sister and say hello and swap Christmas presents while we can. So hopefully I'll have a nice day, and I would like to be able to wear my Ilford. Now, the last time we spoke, I was like, oh, I have no idea how you finished the tops of these. Well, I found out I'd done it wrong and missed a step, so I'll show you guys what I've done. What you're actually meant to do is the same as you did at the bottom. So you know how we kind of turned that out, stitched it, and then flipped it through? You do the same at the top. So you flip it back on itself, so you go into facing out, you stitch along the top, and then you push it through. And you end up with a nice closed end at the top here. Still got a raw edge where our collar's going to go, and that is our next step. So here is the collar without its collar. It doesn't have a collar stand, which I still find baffling. It looks like the under collar is a lot bigger than the over collar, if you guys can see that. Like, that's the under collar there because it's under stitched and everything, and that's the over collar. So I'm hoping that I don't see how that can make sense, if I'm honest, but I mean, we'll see, I guess. We'll see how that works. Maybe I've got it the wrong way around. Maybe I need to unpick my understitching, but I don't think I have. So yeah, we'll see. So I've just got to pop this on and then put the buttons on. And I think that's, oh no, and do my cuffs. There we go. I've got an open placket there, so I need to do my cuffs as well. So I'm going to see how much I can get done tonight. Ideally, I'd like to wear this tomorrow and then also show you guys the vlog tomorrow. But we will see. I think it's really important that, especially in an age and an era where we're expected to be so on all the time and on social media and on everything else, that sometimes we forget that normal life does exist too, and you can't feel bad. Sorry, I'm snipping loose threads while I say this, but you can't feel bad for not posting on your grid, for example, or you can't feel bad for not getting in your hobby, because it is at the end of the day of a hobby. So you shouldn't really, even if you have to force yourself to make time, it shouldn't be stressful to do. And that's something I've tried to make sure that I've accepted. I'm in a really busy period, or I've just come through an incredibly busy period, and so what I need to do is be nice to myself and let myself relax and then sew. And sew in a state of mind where I will enjoy sewing an immense amount, which is where I am at the moment. So I've not sewn as much this year as I would have liked to. I'm going to do a roundup of 2021, which has been a fairly turbulent year for everybody as well as us. And I will tell you guys a little bit about my plans going forward in a video after Christmas. But for now, I'd like to get my big cosy jacket done. My dad's shirt's nearly finished as well. I've got to finish that this weekend so I can post it on Monday. So we're aiming to finish this tonight, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you some lovely pictures of me wearing it tomorrow. Good morning. So I have only got pockets and cuffs left to do on my coat. Now, I really want to wear it into London today, so what I might do is put on 2 of the pockets and leave the 3rd breast pocket till when I get home, and I need to put the cuffs on as a matter of urgency because that's a raw hem. So theoretically, once the cuffs are on, I have a finished jacket. I've got about 15 minutes, so I'm going to prioritise doing the cuffs, and then what I might do is put the pockets on when I get home. We'll see how I get to, but I really want to wear it into London. It's so cosy and I love it so much. Let me show you where we are at the moment. So here we are with the buttons done. It's not bad pattern matching actually. I'm pretty chuffed with that. So these are my lovely Pigeon Wishes buttons as well, so they just are a little bit more of a feature. So I'm going to have, sorry, you're going to see my foot for a second, pockets kind of here, and then a breast pocket there.
that is the joys of being a dancer as well. I can use my foot as a pointer when I'm holding tea. So we've got our cuffs to go on. As you can see, that's a raw hem. And then, yeah, I can actually wear it at that point. I just won't have any pockets. So I can take some photos and then add pockets and take more photos. I think it's going to be how it works.
Unfortunately, due to another needle break, because this fabric is so thick, I'm not going to be able to finish before I go to London, so I'll have to wear something else me made, I think, just to embrace being out. But yeah, that is the third needle I've broken on this project, which is frustrating. And like, when I say broken, it's bent beyond recognition. So I am using heavyweight needles, by the way. It's just so many layers of wool, so I hope the machine is all right. I'm going to give it a good check over when I get home and then finish this garment tonight after I'm home from London, which is annoying because I really wanted to wear it. I wanted to get some nice photos, but sadly that is not to be, so I need to run for the train now, and I will see you guys a little later on today for the other cuff. So we do have one cuff on, that is not closed, but it is on. So we'll do one more tonight, pop the pockets on, and then it'll all be done. So we're here for the last instalment. It's time to attach some pockets, and then we are all done. I realise this has been a lot longer than my normal sew-alongs, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. It has spanned quite a few weeks, but I wanted to persevere and keep going and show you guys because I love making it. I'm really, really pretty happy with my Ilford. But also I thought it was just important to keep vlogging because I enjoy it and it's a nice thing to do through a very stressful period. So hopefully you've enjoyed following along with various different moods and situations. What we've got left to do is pockets and also one of the cuffs. So I'll do the other one quickly now because I broke a needle when I did the other one. So I need to replace my needle, and then, which I've already done actually. I'll replace my needle and then hopefully the second cuff will go on without incident, and then we'll just do pockets. Hey everyone, so the cuffs are on, the buttons are on, and I've actually made the decision not to put any pockets on because I broke a 6th needle doing that cuff, and frankly I'm beginning to worry about my actual machine, and I don't want to damage my machine, and realistically I'm not that bothered. I might put them on at a later date. I'm definitely going to keep the pocket pieces so that if I feel up to it at some point I will. But yeah, I just thought, I was like, you know what, it's more trouble than it's worth for pockets that are kind of fine. They're not the kind of pockets I'm willing to fight for, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous jacket and I really, really like it. I took some photos, which I'll post here. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it was a good sew actually. I think it was a very easy sew. I think it was more complex for me because of the sheer weight of the fabric I was using, honestly. Oh my God. I loved it, but you couldn't press it because some wool just doesn't, you can't get a crease. And it just never sort of, it was hard to exert any pressure on it because it was so thick that putting the leather down didn't actually do anything because it was extended to its max with all the wool underneath. Yeah, so I think it was a challenging sew, but I did really enjoy it. It was really, really fun. And I would definitely make another one. I'd actually quite like to make a denim one because although denim is obviously very thick, it's the actual fabric can be creased and it can, like, the fabric is thinner, even though it's, I think I used the wrong word. Denim is heavy, but it's not necessarily thick. so I'd quite like a denim version because I like the shape of it on me as well, and then I wouldn't have to do buttonholes. Well, I would have to do buttonholes, but I wouldn't have to do buttons. I would do like, you know, the studs because I think they look really nice. So, you know, stay tuned for that. I'm definitely going to have another crack at it in the future, and I'll put pockets on the next one. But for now, I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to edit this vlog so you guys can see it tonight. I hope you really enjoy it. I'm on my first day of annual leave now, so I'm just finishing up a few bits, tidying the house, sorting my plants out. It's really chill, so I hope you enjoy this vlog, and let me know in the comments if you've tried the Ilford, if you've broken lots of needles, please commiserate with me and let me know it's not just me. And yeah, have a lovely rest of your day, and I really hope you enjoy watching this. It's a much longer vlog than usual, but I've tried to make it a bit chattier because it spanned such an amount of time that I want to make, you know, catch up with you guys and chat and that sort of stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like, share and subscribe if you're new and you want to hear more from me. And if you already subscribed, make sure you have clicked that notification bell so that you know whenever I release a new video. Other than that, have a wonderful Christmas, everybody, and I will be back in the gap between Christmas and New Year to tell you all about my plans for next year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.